Hi and welcome. I'm Lisa. Thanks for joining me here for another card video. Today I'm sharing a few quick and simple cards I created using the Trinity Stamps A2 Foundation Stencils Rectangles. So I personally consider these stencils to be multi-purpose tools in my craft room. The thing I love most about them is the etched grid lines on them, making them perfect for lining up sentiments, centering images, and color blocking. That's what I'm going to be using them for today. Now, I'm going to be using these etched lines a lot throughout this video just to make sure that everything stays lined up. And I went ahead and I sprayed the back of the stencils with pixie spray. This is just a low tacked repositionable spray that's going to ensure my stencils don't shift while I'm laying down the ink. Now I'm using a few Trinity Blender Buddies along with Distress Oxides. I have a piece of 110-pound paper laid down. You can use 80-pound or Bristol Smooth. It's completely up to you. I went ahead and used one of the rectangles that come with this stencil set to cover up the top part of my card panel, and I'm going to come in with this dusty Concord Distress Oxide ink and completely fill in this bottom area. Now you want to clean your stencil off between each color. It just makes things a little bit easier. So I went ahead and removed that excess ink. I'm going to shift that stencil down over the dusty Concord, grab another of those rectangles to cover up half of this top panel, and then I'm going to come in with the milled lavender and go ahead and fill that completely in. We're going to go ahead and shift the stencil over the milled lavender and then come in with the worn lipstick Distress Oxide and fill this in. Now, once I have this filled in, we're done with this panel. And I knew for the card that I was creating that I was going to need a second panel and that I was going to move the inks around. So I'm going to just do a complete reversal of what I just did using the same inks. I'm just laying the inks down in different areas. So I'm coming in with the dusty Concord. I'm going to shift this stencil over that, then come in with the worn lipstick and fill this area in. We're going to go ahead and remove that top. We're going to shift this stencil to the top to protect those areas. And then we're going to come in with the milled lavender, completely filling in the bottom part to finish off this card panel. So I did decide that I wanted to do a couple of more panels, and I am using Distress Oxide inks again, and Spiced Marmalade, Picked Raspberry, and Spun Sugar. Now the thing that I did different with this panel was I wanted to leave a white line between the top two colors. So I just used those etched lines on the stencils to help me line everything up nice and neat. It was so easy with the stencils. The stencils really do make this an effortless technique. Okay, so now that we have our panels done, I want to go ahead and die cut a heart out of the center of one of those. So I'm going to go ahead and line up the heart, and you can see you can use your stencils to help you line up your die cuts. And then I'm going to run those through my die cut machine. And now we're going to go ahead and start to assemble the cards. So I decided that I would come in with a little bit of foiling on this pink and orange card. And what I did was I just took a piece of that double-sided adhesive and I folded it back on itself. And then I trimmed it down to cover up this orange block I have here. So I'm just going to peel the paper backing halfway off. And then that's going to allow me to position this adhesive over the orange block. And then I'm going to peel the rest of that paper off, add my foil over it, and then burnish it. Now, I'll say if you find that you have any little sticky areas or whatever, just use your little anti-static tool to hit those areas and it'll get rid of any tackiness that might be left behind. So I wanted to do the same with the orange area on the heart. So I went ahead and laid down some double-sided adhesive, covered it with the foil, and then burnished it. So I go ahead and put some double-sided mounting foam on the back of the heart, and I'm going to line that up. Now, with this technique, it's very important that you take the time to make sure all your lines are lined up nice and straight. A little bit of Gina Connect glue on the back of that panel, and we're going to place that on a 4¼ inch by 5½ inch card base. I have some sentiment strips that I've had sitting on my desk, and I wanted to start using those, so I just stamped Happy Galentine's Day on the sentiment strip, and I'm going to center it up on the heart. Now, I stamped that with VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and it is from the Love and Stuff sentiment set. So for this card, I just went ahead and used mounting foam on the back of the heart and lined it up with the colors on the card panel. I'm going to use gold foil letter stickers on this card instead of stamping a sentiment. And I'm just going to line those up nice and neat on the front, making sure I have it centered right and everything's where I want it before I press down on those letters. I'm going to grab my T-ruler to make sure everything is straight. Now, once I have these where I want them, I'm going to go ahead and press down firmly with those. And then we're going to come in with some Gina Connect glue. And we're going to go ahead and adhere this panel to a 4¼ by 5½ inch card base. So we have 2 more cards to create. And when I die cut the hearts out of those second panels, I made sure to center those hearts up so that I could use those panels. So what I've done is I've cut the panels down, and I'm going to use my stencil to help me center these up on a 4¼ by 5½ inch card base. A little bit of Gina Connect glue. Line that up, making sure it's centered, nice and neat, and remove the stencil. So I use some some black, this is just black cardstock that I've die cut with the word love from the Bold Love die set. Now this is something I had in that bowl along with the sentiment strips, so I just went ahead and grabbed them out of there to use them. And I'm just using mounting foam strips on the back of them, and then we're going to line those up in the center of the card straight across. And then I'm going to do the same steps for the second card, except for I'm going to stack the letters on top of each other. And I did use the mounting foam strips. I just used black mounting foam strips on this. And this is actually a very dark colored cardstock, gray cardstock. It's not black, it's just a really dark shade of gray that I used, and I thought that it would look better with the lavender colors, and I really do love the way these are turning out. So there you go. I believe that brings us to the end of this video. Let me know what you think of this color blocking technique in the comments below. I love reading your feedback and always encourage you to leave suggestions and/or questions. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you'll click the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified of new content to this channel. As always, know how much I appreciate you taking the time to watch, and until next time, keep crafting.